Hey everyone, welcome back to Nifilmism. Jesus, I can't even pronounce my own podcast name. Nifilmism. I'm Ryan.
I'm Drew.
And you know what? We're just going to get right into it. Franchise fatigue, as we were just both coming over here to record. It was announced that the writers of Game of Thrones are going to be doing some Star Wars movies.
Yes, when we haven't even gotten to the one that apparently was aborted, somehow stuck back in.
Oh, Solo?
Given a ginger director, and then hastily had a trailer pumped out right after the Super Bowl, which makes me think that they were feverishly working during the Super Bowl to get a final cut for the trailer.
Yeah.
Because the movie probably just wrapped its second full shoot.
And what, 90% of it was reshoots?
I wonder if this is something that like will become like a non-existent grail, like the Eric Stoltz version of Back to the Future that apparently was fully shot that nobody has a copy of. Maybe there's the actual like original version of Solo.
Even if we never see it, we get Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah, is Disney going Oprah with this? Because it feels like they're just bringing people on and giving them whole trilogies at this point. You can't even get anybody to see the third movie because you let Rian Johnson, who apparently has gone to Twitter to just attack everybody for his bad movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'd respect him more if he were just to admit, like, I get it, it's not for everybody, but he's just being like angry internet kid about it. It's funny.
It was his vision, but it almost feels like everyone talks about how Rogue One was just a Star Wars fan film. This was the fan film. Everyone's got the friend who comes up with an idea for a fan film that they'd like to see, and the rest of the group of friends just says, no, you're fucking stupid.
Yeah.
And Rian Johnson's the one that somehow got picked to make his version.
Yeah. Or it's like when you all get into that, you get a good kernel of an idea and you all kind of pile on top of it, and then you just have one guy who goes a bit further, and then that just kills the topic. It's like they never stopped them at that point, or they were still in that high of, wow, we're like getting creative juices flowing, and then
and then you end up,
and then you realize, oh wait, you're the only one who's actually writing any of this down, and you're only writing what you like down,
and then you end up with a movie podcast.
Yeah. but no franchise fatigue, because this is gonna date this for anybody who actually, like, for posterity listens to these again, but we're on the cusp of Black Panther coming out, and it almost feels like having to go to church when you're a kid. Like, I'll go to see it, but I don't know if I really care a lot to want to. And then I guess I've become more cynical as I've gotten older with Star Wars, and this is in a vacuum, even with the recent failings or successes of the Disney movies. But Solo is like the first Star Wars movie where I've been like, you know what, regardless of quality, I don't know if I'm gonna day one it like I've done every movie since the special editions when I was like 8, basically. I was like in middle school when those started coming out. It's been like a family tradition, but like I don't know if I might want to draw the line at, like, you're making movies that nobody needs. Like, Disney, you have Marvel Comics putting out stories that aren't feature quality. Why are you pumping movies out that aren't actually feature quality?
Backing up to Benioff and Weiss, I looked up DB Weiss's filmography right before this, and at least the short version on his Google search, usually it'll give you a number of things, but the only things that listed for him were Halo, Game of Thrones.
So a development hell picture.
Game of Thrones, which I'll get back to in a second.
A series of declining quality as it gets more and more into the writer's original concepts.
Yep, and then Confederate, which is being scrapped because people realized, oh my god, we don't want two white guys talking about what would happen if slavery was still a thing. Oh. Maybe this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So that's also in development hell. And you know what? Them signing on to Star Wars might be... Have you ever had a job that you just didn't want to do, and someone says, hey, I've got something else for you to do, and you say, yes, absolutely, so I can get away from that? But then you find out that you took on more responsibility than... Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's as they're getting to the end, they're already it's very much like sports coaches, where it's like, we already know you're committed elsewhere, so like how much effort are you going to put into this? You just want to change a pace thing, and You wonder how much creativity they had, considering they were adapting, and now when they're finally in the final seasons of Game of Thrones and they're creating with what they say is input from Martin directly, it's in waning quality, and now you're giving them full creative.
Yeah, I know you don't watch, but after about season 3 or 4, Game of Thrones really started to just.
Oh, I watched the show, and even not having read, I understand that there's very declining quality. Oh, okay. I watched the show, and I'm not. I don't read. You watched it. No, I watch, but I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been watching since the beginning, but I just don't. I haven't bothered putting in the effort on the books because Martin can't put the effort to finish them. And I don't want to commit to something that will never have a definitive finale.
Quick aside on that. I'm pretty sure at this point that he is pretty far along with whatever he's working on, and that he is just waiting for this finale to come out.
Hopefully he's got pages into his editors where they're like, listen, the series is going to end, and you have a very small window where people still care about the product. You have to put the book out then.
He's made his money. I think at this point he's really looking at the last couple books as just his artistic creation, and he doesn't want it to get tied to the show. But speaking of books turned into movies,
important books being turned into movies,
the biggest
franchises,
book of
franchise opportunities.
Last week we were talking that Mel Gibson apparently has been forgiven by society at large. I guess ranting at your ex-wife and anti-Semitism and a bunch of other things.
Well, we're in modern America now. Anti-Semitism is cool again.
I'm gonna leave that for the comments section. Yes, I understand you're being sarcastic.
Ryan, we can say Christmas, Merry Christmas now, because we apparently couldn't before. I don't know when, but I wasn't told we couldn't. But we can again. That's all that matters.
Hallmark stores being firebombed for having Christmas cards that said Christmas. But we're getting the Passion Part 2 because apparently dying and being resurrected causes you to age 15 years, Jim Caviezel, because it's been, 15 years since the
Maybe Mel
last...
just wants to give him something that isn't just sweet CBS old people TV money.
What was the movie that he was in where he was it was an action movie where he was a driver?
I don't know. All I've known is that he has been on CBS for centuries because you don't have to have a great premise, but old people will watch CBS dramas, so you're basically golden if you get on that. But
so yeah, Jim Caviezel is back to play Jesus again in what are they calling it? The Resurrection? That's it. Know. But that got us thinking. You've got all these stories. Why not create the
biblical cinematic universe,
or the BCU for short?
I mean, you've got Universal trying badly to do a monsters universe. Why not come out with a wholesome American biblical cinematic universe?
But that's just it. You take what they did at Universal, where you take these old school horror movies that maybe don't translate as well to modern time, and you turn it into action movies, yes. Which is exactly what you could do. The Old Testament's fucking brutal. So Phase 1
is Old Testament heroes.
Phase 2, New Testament.
You get Mickey Rourke to play Moses. just old tired Moses is big old rock faced Mickey Rourke.
Why not? Just put a beard on him.
David, whoever's playing David is the from like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, like the shitty like Huck Finn, like, oh, you didn't know I was just the regular dude character.
But how do you even do David? Wasn't it David that raped the wife of one of his soldiers?
We're Americans. The actual scripture doesn't matter. It's the meaning.
No, I can't think of who it was now. It was one of the kings. It might have been David. And he decided to rape this woman. And it was... what did he do? So he said, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. So he recalled the soldier. It was something the Hittite. He was a Hittite. And he said, go home and fuck your wife. Because his thought was, if he gets her pregnant, no one will ever question how she got pregnant while he was away at war. And he said, no, man, I'm not going to abandon my men.
And that's where primogeniture came from.
Well, then he decided to say, okay, just to cover this up, he put this guy in the front lines and had him killed.
Oh, man.
Just to cover up the fact that he had raped this guy's wife.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The Bible. It's a book we should live our lives by. It's only been revised thousands of times.
But there's some good potential in here. You could do a dark comedy about Job.
You could do the Hulk, and it's just Paul, and then his dark side Saul. And he's like the Punisher, and he just doesn't remember it. He's like this Jewish Punisher, and he just doesn't remember it. He just wakes up, and he's just like, what happened? And then he sees notes scribbled, it was Saul. It was me, it was Saul.
Do I hate women? What's going on here?
I don't understand. And then you can have the head of John the Baptist be a MacGuffin that its gaze turns people into pillars of salt.
What's the better MacGuffin, the head of John the Baptist or the Technicolor Dreamcoat? Or is there one for each phase?
You need one for each phase because you need a CGI extravaganza to get people in the seats that's in the trailer constantly. So just this magical Dreamcoat. You need to have the Ark of the Covenant just because it needs to melt more faces because that needs to happen.
And if Lucasfilms gets this, you can actually put C-3PO and R2 in the temple.
Oh, God. They're just
throw back to that. Yeah.
Oh, man, you could do so much with this. You could do, like, a bunch of terrible Bible stories. If they need a ship to get around, they have Jonah and his whale.
Or Noah and the Ark. You've already got
Noah. You could fudge him into the cinematic universe.
And just
clearly,
like
Russell Crowe has nothing going on other than being in terrible movies recently.
But just like Russell Crowe, they tried to use him as the Nick Fury for the monsters.
By making him what was it?
Dr.
Jekyll?
Yeah. Do the same thing with the Ark. Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
you got to have them putting a team together, like certain trailers always do. Because I for one am fully prepared for Han Solo's Guardians of the Space Suicide Squad. A Ron Howard picture that he totally put his heart and soul into. But I saw the gilded Lucasfilm logo, so I clapped. Because it means quality. The Star Wars logo means quality.
Wasn't it also at the start of Crystal Skull?
We're literally in like the meta of Spaceballs the movie, Spaceballs the flamethrower with Star Wars now.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do something original every time. Look at Blade Runner 2049. It's something that is how many years removed from the first? It was a sequel. It came back. They did it better than the original.
And it wasn't a universe that was calling for another picture.
Even though it
was ambiguous in the ending, but because it fit the story. It wasn't something that was, we need to find out what happened.
Just in general, though, it's that universe lends itself to more storytelling than Star Wars does.
Oh, if they wanted to franchise the Blade Runner universe, they have all of the off-world stuff that you've never even seen. Earth is like the backwater trailer park of the universe at both points of Blade Runner.
So what you're saying is that the Solo movie is the equivalent of needing to make a whole movie about attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion?
Yeah, a throwaway line. Oh, man, an improvised line about the Kessel Run has to suddenly become a picture with Woody Harrelson because the main actor can't act and he has no star power.
Apparently both leads can't act.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, is it Emilia Clarke in the movie? Problem solved.
Should we get her to play Jezebel?
Is her role to be Mother of Dragons and Destroyer franchises? Like she has to ruin
Terminator?
She has to ruin Terminator, now she's got to ruin Star Wars.
I'm
just mad that Donald Glover's in this movie looking like a good Lando, and it's going to be wasted on a terrible movie where he didn't need to be in a movie.
It happens though. The Dark Tower. You've got a couple of, well, at least one good actor.
Of good character actors in cast well in just a shit picture.
Yeah, Idris Elba would have been a great Roland Deschain if they would have actually bothered making a good movie.
Yeah. Did you see? I know we're getting on a tangent here, but did you see that commercial for the is it the Amazon series Castle Rock?
Yes.
More King stuff? I'm interested.
I think it's Hulu.
Is it Hulu? I have all of these. I pay for these stupid things because I'm a millennial.
I was very excited, and then I realized it's the one subscription service I don't have, and I can't justify it.
I could probably fling you a password.
I, I've already purchased Amazon Prime.
Well, Netflix is going to die the slow death because Disney's going to kill it by taking all their stuff off of it.
They've got enough stuff coming out though on their own that.
Yeah, that's true.
Ozark, I just started watching. Ozark is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If you miss Breaking Bad, I'm only one episode in, but if you want that
it's
vibe,
got the feel.
Yeah.
But again, back to franchise fatigue and just this Solo trailer was garbage. And why not make a Bible franchise? You could do the new biblical adventurers with.
Phase 1 is Old Testament.
Yeah.
Phase 2, New Testament.
And then you keep a couple holdovers that somehow survived because...
Right. Phase 3, you can go into the U.S. with Mormons.
You gotta end Phase 2 with a giant, like, super-powered weapon like the Infinity Gauntlet, and you have, like, the Dead Sea Scrolls, and maybe they, like, erase everybody's collective memory of all the cool... superhero adventures of the biblical adventurers.
Try to make it a gritty one.
Yeah.
You got all these things that don't make sense in the modern world, like miracles. Yeah. But if you have a big Men in Black style...
I like that we're recording this for posterity so that when
this happens,
the morally bankrupt Californian coast steals it, we have this for proprietary knowledge.
Proof that we came up with it.
So that we could be like the people who are going after Del Toro. See, we talked about fucking Fishmen first.
Didn't Lovecraft talk about Fishmen first?
Speaking of Lovecraft, there's a Cthulhu in the Solo trailer?
I guess.
What? How about just make a Cthulhu movie?
Because they've tried. We've talked about this, and it's never going to happen because Del Toro gets fucked.
Yes.
From now on, anytime they steal something from Del Toro, I'm going to call it a Pacific Rim job.
Oh,
there we go. Yeah.
But yeah, just everything's a vehicle now. Every picture is a vehicle unless it's already part of a universe. And that's frustrating because that really limits originality. And I think more so the fact that you've got these giant, like, juggernaut machines, these train cars of films pieced together, that nobody's, like, willing to attack any of them for being shit. Like, we're already in that little stretch where the embargoes are starting to open up on Black Panther, and it's like, oh, the greatest cinematic masterpiece of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm like, these are all just entertaining movies at best. Like, none of them is going to be transcendent.
Yeah, and we're talking about this, we're recording this, just a matter of a couple of weeks after Logan got snubbed for every possible Oscar.
It did get what for Best Actor? It's got a nom for one of the big ones. I'd have to look again, but it's got a nomination.
Okay, I missed that.
It has a nomination. That was one of the things I saw, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes up for the fact that 2049 is not up for Best Picture.
Man, I really thought it got snubbed because...
No, I have to look again, but I think it's up there for either adapted screenplay or something. It's up there for something.
Okay, because I was expecting Patrick Stewart to get a supporting actor now. And nothing happened. It was to the point that they were even interviewing him about the potential of getting a supporting actor nod, and nothing.
Oh well.
I'll
be fine with another movie that's a great cult classic, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you, James Mangold.
But no, like, back again to franchise fatigue. Black Panther's about to come out, like, next week, I think.
Yeah.
And we already have a trailer for Ant-Man and Wasp, which comes out later this summer. And Infinity War Part 1, which comes out this summer. You've got 3 Marvel movies in the span of 6 months in the, I guess you'd call it the beginnings of the, like, we're right now in the dead zone of films. February, March is dead zone. And then, just like with beers in recent years, the seasonal stuff starts to come a little bit earlier, and it's almost April is summer movie season now. I remember when it was May or June when we were kids.
4th of July for Independence Day?
Yeah. You didn't get anything until, like, late May, and now, if you're not out with a good movie around, like, mid-April at this point, you're not kicking off your summer season right. And it's because Marvel pumps 2 pictures out of summer now. And they all blend together. And it's unfortunate because I like the Marvel Universe. It's just, I kind of want to take a break after Infinity War. I hope that they I wish they would be smart and think, okay, we have a lot of expiring contracts for our main cast. A bunch of them are getting older or want to move on career-wise. Take, like, 2 or 3 years off before you start another, like, Young Avengers team with Spider-Man in them. Just take a while before you realize you're pounding people into the ground with these movies
how excited were you in between the Nolan Batman movies when you found out that he was in fact doing another a couple years later?
Well, it was that, and it was that you'd get these long form trailers in front of other movies. What was it for Dark Knight Rises? You got like the entire plane scene in front of a different movie.
Yeah.
Like you got handfuls of stuff that you knew wasn't coming for 6 more months or so. But now everything's like Ant-Man and Wasp is like done shooting, I would imagine, or close to, that we have a trailer, and
It has to be.
It's like
it's
cool.
gotta be so
I
well
didn't realize
post.
that was already being a part of this phase. I thought it was going to be in the next set of movies, but the turnaround in film is crazy now.
But they've also announced these movies years in advance.
Oh yeah, Marvel's map is like through 2025 or something, and it's crazy. Like
Nolan, in a recent interview,
it's dark, but like, what if an Anton Yelchin thing happens? Like one of your main cast members dies.
Yeah, I mean, what if Carrie Fisher? Oh no.
Oh no, we could have fixed that in editing because we had literally the scenes to make it work. But no. We're gonna make it harder for the next director for the third movie. But no, Star Wars is definitely doing it, because a lot of the hype with Star Wars wasn't necessarily the quality. It was just the fact that you had so much time between, so you had enough time to build speculation. And even in the internet age, when the prequels were terrible and we all knew they were terrible, you still were like, okay, maybe 3 will redeem things. We have a couple years to speculate on what's going to happen in the third movie. But now you're basically getting like shotgunned in the face every couple weeks with a new film or a new announcement of new directors or new writers.
Well, in Phase 3 of the BCU, we'll bring back Elijah on his burning chariot to have a mid-air CGI fight with Muhammad on his Pegasus.
Oh man, there's just
Phase 3. Phase 3 is when we introduce the
Because rule
Quran.
number 1 is plan ahead. It's not have a good first movie that builds a solid foundation. It's you got to have like 17 movies planned ahead.
You make Elijah sort of an anti-hero because if you go back and read, I think it was Book of Kings. We both went to Catholic school. I sort of remember this stuff.
I've neuralized this out of my head.
Yeah. I've tried, but some of it, just kernels are still in there.
Some of it stays.
It's like those phrases from Westworld that are in there and you're not sure why.
Yeah.
But
Your trigger phrases.
yeah. So I think it was Book of Kings. Elijah shows up and he's a little upset that Jezebel's husband, Ahab.
I'm glad I remembered all of my
whatever.
my Judeo-Christian upbringing.
Everybody was worshiping Baal. So Elijah's like, hey guys, let's have a sacrifice off.
But when do we get the giant mechanical golden calf?
Definitely Phase 1. Because you get whoever did the big Iron Giant robot from the first Thor movie and make an exact replica of that as a golden... But if memory serves...
Is it at the end of Phase 2 that Jesus goes to America and disappears?
No, that's a post-credit... Yeah, post-credit scene.
Post-credit scene is Jesus getting off of the boat in Plymouth Rock.
And I know that most people who claim that they're Christians haven't actually read the Bible, but if you read the very last lines of the book of John, he actually says, and after Jesus was resurrected... he had a bunch of other adventures, the stories of which I'm not going to write down because it would take up more books.
And then there's a bunch of visual effects credits, and then Jesus Christ will return.
Yeah, just like James Bond at the end of every...
Exactly.
But if you look at the end of the book of John, he actually says you could write down all of his adventures, and the earth couldn't contain that number of books. And that gives you carte blanche to do whatever you want.
And then when you've already established that the features are doing well, you just do an apostle-based TV spinoff.
Oh God!
It's just
figuratively,
there's so much material there, and it's so open to interpretation.
So he makes these prophets of Baal do their big sacrifice thing, and he said, "Yeah, go do this, and we'll see if you can get this fire to light without using fire." And just by asking God to do it. And they spent all day, all night, knowing, by the way, that the penalty for being a false prophet is death. And then he walks up right afterwards and says, fuck you guys. And a pillar of fire comes down and lights his... and he has the mob take them out to the stream and execute them.
Oh.
But you could turn that into a Saw movie, where it's just a bunch of prophets trying to get this thing to light without using fire, knowing that they're going to die if they don't.
Oh no.
Get super dark with it. Get James Wan to direct it.
Man, you got like so much. You could have Pilate be like in charge of like the biblical injustice society.
Is he really that bad of a guy? I mean,
No.
he was technically just enforcing Roman law.
Yeah.
He was doing his job.
He probably was the equivalent of that meme of my feet hurt. Can I go home?
No, you know who he is? He's the EPA guy from Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah. Don't touch that. Don't open that. You have an unlicensed nuclear reactor.
Right.
You have a monotheistic cult here in Roman territory? No, sir.
We're gonna be rich. Or not be rich, and then soon to be rich.
Man.
But it's eminent domain, so they can do whatever they want at this point.
You can have the baby Jesus when he comes back resurrected as like the baby Groot of this universe.
Oh,
Bring back the dancing Ally McBeal baby. It's just sweet little baby Jesus. We resurrected him. We followed all of Lazarus' orders, but it didn't take correctly. So you have a whole movie where Jesus is an infant. What hijinks will ensue?
Get whoever directed Baby's Day Out to come back.
Then you have the through line subplot of the phase 1 of Judas plotting behind their backs.
Or you make him a truly tragic character.
Like Loki.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston, we have a role for you after you get tired. We're going to make millions. Billions, even.
All because they decided to make a resurrection movie, and this is what came to mind.
Hey, creatively bankrupt.
And that's the problem. Even
originality is pretty much dead. I mean, you could argue that originality of story is dead because of where we are as a culture. Like, so many stories have been told that everything is going to be derivative of something.
Yeah.
But you we really are just going to rehash or do like origin stories endlessly forever.
All joking aside, the whole hero's journey, Campbell.
Yeah.
You've got Luke Skywalker, and honestly, his theory fits the story of Jesus as well. It's usually somebody that has the right bloodline coming to rule from a background of
modesty.
Yeah.
It's all formulaic. It's not the word I'm looking for.
But it's right. That's a good
archetypal
word for it.
Archetypical.
Yes.
Yeah. Can we just get some like creative and new ideas, and not stuff like downsizing with featuring Matt Damon, shrunken down with a giant vodka bottle? Ha!
Look at the Bible movies that have come out.
No.
They know.
No.
They know that their audience would have to be people that are actually into the Bible. Nobody cares about a Noah's Ark movie, right? I mean, did anyone watch that?
I would imagine people did. Probably did okay.
But
stuff that most people, at least in our part of the world, have grown up with. So
I didn't care.
I didn't either.
But you actually have a bunch of material that I think people are afraid of. Because if you really get into doing a dark comedy about how
if you do the story deep enough, you're getting into the details of the story and you realize this is really dark.
Yeah, the Bible's got some.
Well, wasn't that the knock on Noah, that it was really dark? It was really dark, and people are like, "Did you not read this since you were in Bible in like Sunday school? Like, did you not?"
I have a feeling that a lot of people got one of those illustrated children's Bibles.
The Muppet Babies Bible.
Yes, that leaves out all of the rape and murder and the awesome scene where Jacob has to wrestle God. Some translations
phase one or phase 2 film.
Phase 1, absolutely. He's walking through the desert, and all of a sudden someone taps him on the shoulder and just starts trying to put him in a chokehold. Yeah. Now, some translations say it was an angel, some say it was God. Regardless, he beats up the angel or God to the point that whoever it was taps out.
Okay, enough. I want to watch a movie I want to watch a series of movies about a guy who just isn't having any of this stuff.
And if Lucasfilms buys this, you could tie the Staff of Longinus into the next Indiana Jones movie.
Which it should. Crystal Skull. If I meet a person who says they like Crystal Skull again in my life, I think I get a free pass to skull fuck them to death.
Doesn't that happen in the Bible?
Probably. I know there's babies being split and fathers offering their daughters up. That happens constantly.
And hey, you need to kill your son. Okay, whoa. I didn't think you were gonna do it.
Well, but
Dude, back off.
You need Abraham's son to show up with the Revengers, with Cain and Lot's daughters as the main villains of one of the Phase 2 movies.
But Cain gets his own city.
Yeah.
Cain is immortal, basically. It says right after he gets kicked out of Eden, God makes sure that he doesn't get murdered. He goes on and has a bunch of other kids and founds a city. Cain has a good life, and God's got his back the whole time.
Man, Old Testament God was fun. Back when he hated people.
At that point, I don't
Back when he realized he made a horrible mistake.
I don't think he'd gotten the fire and brimstone part down yet, because he was very generous to a guy.
Early on.
Yeah.
And then the number of fucks in his pocket just ran out.
You could even do Genesis as the worst origin
and then he became like, and then he got to the point in his existence where he was in Western culture and Sundays aren't days off anymore, and you really don't have the time to rest, so you run out of fucks immediately.
Is Genesis the worst Marvel origin story ever?
Yeah,
because CGI boss battle at the end where the devil gets kicked out.
Oh man, I could just see Zack Snyder doing the fall of Lucifer.
But if they went and did the slow-mo shot from Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, the slow-mo awesome cloak looking like a stained glass window.
That'd be fucking awesome.
Just do Paradise. Could Zack Snyder do Paradise Lost and not have it be shit?
No, because Zack Snyder.
Yes.
Can he
be the DP and have somebody who's qualified actually?
Do you think he would do that? No. Do you think Bill Belichick would ever go back to being an offensive coordinator?
I don't think Bill Belichick will ever answer questions again.
We're also recovering from the Super Bowl as we talked about this. The lose-lose of Philadelphia or New England.
It's like we all represented with the Green Goblin, holding Gwen Stacy and holding a train car full of people and asking us to choose.
Oh, trolley problem.
Me, I take the person I actually know. Screw the innocents.
Ethics 101 in movie form.
Oh no. But yeah, we're tired of unoriginal, repetitive, endless movies that are to the point where you can't watch one without knowing, hey, you know that one guy who showed up for 5 seconds? He's had like 3 movies himself. You need to watch those to understand what's going on here.
And I'm getting a little bit nervous about John Wick. As for the movies, I'm fine with.
I don't like the end. I don't like how it. I'd rather it be more than implication that he's paranoid and that people are just checking their phones and not that everybody in greater New York is an assassin.
What if they are?
That's the problem. That's what people want out of the next movie. They want the next movie to be Keanu Reeves in the end scene of Kill Bill Volume 1 for an entire hour and a half.
I don't think I could watch that. I did watch that, and that was called The Battle of Five Armies.
Ugh. Enough.
Speaking of creatively bankrupt, I think I run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, me too. Bye!